Hey everyone, HazzaJC here and welcome back to my YouTube channel. Today we're going to be doing a real quick video breaking down my playoff picks for Champs Seoul 2024. Let's get straight into it. We can go over my group choices very quickly. In terms of how well I did, not amazing. I'll give you the full list here, and actually I was covering the one part that I did get correct. G2 to win Group D, otherwise Trace is going to have surprised a lot of people. Genji not making it through, and even DRX doing well in Group A. All ideas which I'll get to in just a little bit. That puts me on 70 points, and in the top 39, it said 40 the other day, but it's changed. Means that probably not going to be able to get the special buddy or whatever it is. Cairo busy for this video, so it's just me layering some of my thoughts ahead of Ascension, which will be coming in right at the very end of the month in EMEA, 31st of August. Really excited to be watching some of the games there, speaking about it, and putting more predictions on the channel. So make sure to leave a like if you enjoy this, subscribe, and hit the bell to be ready for that one. Keeping it nice and quick, let's get straight into it. DRX versus Sentinels to open this one up. I didn't think DRX were going to win the group whatsoever. Didn't have too much confidence in them. They've found a new level of form since playoffs in Pacific. However, Sentinels have a great track record, not only against Korean teams, but DRX in general, I believe. Or maybe it's Genji, I can't remember. Either way, it doesn't really matter. I have them winning this game. I think they're going to be very well prepared for it into game number 2. And the first of our 3 cross-regional sort of like domestic matchups. Trace Esports EDG. Lots of people buying into the Trace hype train. I've even seen some people putting them in as like a second place team for this event. While I think that they did very well in their group with some good teams, Vitality, Leviathan, both which I can see getting overexposed through what was a combination of hero plays and a nothing held back style, ultimately, which against EDG, don't think is going to work. You've got to remember who the daddies of China are. Kang is going to give them an ass whooping. That's what I've got for my second opening game. Third game, G2 versus Lev. Kind of what I was saying before. I think G2 form-wise been looking a lot better than they had been. Some nasty maps in that America's Grand Final kind of ran out of steam. Here they are, looked brilliant in the group that they just played against names such as Paper X, who are now eliminated from the tournament, of course. I have them winning this one and going into the upper semis. The team that joins them there, between Heretics and Fnatic, I'm kind of split. I initially said that it would be Fnatic that we saw going into the uppers, but at the same time, Heretics feel like a much different team than the one we saw play in the EMEA playoffs in Stage 2 not too long ago. I think they've looked a lot better. They've managed to shore up on some of the issues that they had as a roster. You want individual form coming out of your Woot, your Benji Fishy, for example. And even players like Rian's doing a good job at sort of binding all of that together. Against a Fnatic team which have the 3rd highest round win rate out of all the teams coming from groups. Second to, like, you know, DRX, for example, which makes it feel crazy I'm not picking them. But I don't know. I think in that group, Fnatic were always going to come out on top. I'm going to go with Heretics this time around, but keep your eyes on Fnatic because I'm not going to give up on them just yet. We can then move to the uppers. Sen EDG, I think this one's a little bit more clear-cut for me. I think Sentinels should be prepared to contain how EDG are going to try and set up, whereas EDG were able to get the jump on teams in their group, such as Foot, Paper X, for example. Sentinels, this shouldn't be a difficult one for them to try and figure out, and they've had time to do that. So Sentinels, I have then taking this win. As for G2 versus Heretics, there are 2 ways that you can look at this. I think I've seen a lot of the Americas channels like predicting this to just be G2 through and through. But for me, I still got to believe that Heretics can continue to look great in this upper bracket. And this is an upper bracket final, I think, which is a lot of fan service, maybe. You consider both of these teams having had brilliant years so far. Both Masters finalists, Sentinels absent from the previous one. That's an exciting game to look towards. That's what I have as my upper bracket final. Quickly whizzing through the rest of these, DRX over Trace. This could probably go either way, but I just think Trace, look, they looked really exciting, really amazing in the group stage. Perhaps people underrated them. At the same time, I think it's hard to underrate anyone in Champs. Everyone is here for a reason. DRX have a much more structured style. They should be able to, again, offset the kind of hero plays, individualistic moments which set them up. Look, if they perform poorly, as they have done for most of this year, DRX, still there's a chance they lose this game, but I don't have Trace going very far here. I've got them going out 0-2. The other name which joins them, probably Lev. As I said, one to watch on Fnatic. I think these guys have been the unsung heroes of EMEA this year. Yeah, they won it twice, but no one really seemed to care. Everyone's just focusing on Heretics, and that's kind of the angle that I'm taking with these predictions as well. But you've got to remember, these guys are just very insanely good at what they do, but they do it so fundamentally and so straightforwardly sometimes that people kind of just forget about them. They're not like the exciting, explosive brand that Heretics have brought to the table with their incredibly young roster. Hero looked a little bit shaky in like map number 1 against BLG, but has grown into the tournament, and as a youngster, I think he has so much potential. And yeah, for Leviathan, close Icebox game against Vitality when they played, not feeling overly enthusiastic about them. But yeah, like even the conversation here between Aspas and Durka is what you're looking at in the Duelist head-to-head. Aspas has been such a reliance for Leviathan at times, whereas Fnatic have been able to operate with Durka on not his best level, but still like very, very good. And they've got a strong system to back it. Their trades, not their strong suit, and yeah, again, I don't have them winning this event, spoiler alert, but I think they win this game at the very least to sort of stop blabbing on. Then, you know what, we'll carry on in the lowers before we go into this this upper bracket final game. I am going to say here between G2 and DRX that G2 win, because I still think that this is a very strong team which will build into events. They've come through Ascension. They've got such a strong core. Icy's playing really well at the moment, too, on G2. Yeah, things are looking good. And as someone who's been called Blonde Trent by many, including Ardis, as I'm never beating the allegations, we'll have them go through for another game. A lot of this is just off of vibes, if you couldn't tell. I'm not working the event. I've not been researching it extensively, but this is just the gut feeling. Joining them in the sort of penultimate round of lowers, I think Fnatic go there as well, because look, as good as EDG have looked in making the late stages of competitions, they don't really seem to get into the like top 4 of an event, for example. We haven't seen them go really far since Tokyo, for example, I think last year, when Kang was looking crazy, when they first really broke onto the international stage. You're speaking of teams outside of EDG not finding anywhere near the same level of success, and I don't know what it is that has got to happen for them to get there. But I just don't hold them in that high of a regard right now. So back to the uppers, Sentinels versus Heretics. It's a best of 3, not a best of 5. A different setting for these teams to be playing each other in. It's a game which we've seen a couple of times. For me, I don't know. It's difficult to say. I think Heretics, if they get to this point, they're going to be in you know, a fighting stature, the same way that Sentinels are, because Sentinels didn't have the best showing in Americas in Stage 2. And look, neither did Heretics, neither did either of these teams. But in these big events, they look that much better. And to be honest, looking at this one, you've got to be thinking of a couple of players on Sentinels who've been in this situation before, especially Sassy. Sassy's really stood out for me. I was watching Sideshow's video on how they beat Gen G, and they look really well orchestrated at the moment. Like, all of the building blocks they've put in place have been, you know, growing towards something a lot bigger towards the end of the year, where they can show up after you know, missing out on Masters in Shanghai. So I think Sentinels win this, but I'm not done with Heretics just yet. G2 Fnatic, this one's tough to call, to be honest. I think we could see a more Americas-sided top 3. Americas are, in my eyes, you know, the strongest region in Valorant at the moment. I don't think that's going to come as a surprise to too many, but that's at least the way that I see it. And then between them and Fnatic, I don't know. I think if Fnatic keep playing the way that they have throughout this lower bracket, the run is going the way that it is, they could very much contain what G2 are doing, and this is a bit of a coin flip. Like, you know, you've got the org rivalry as both orgs are based within EMEA rather than Americas at the moment, as G2 obviously took the guard spot. It'll be a banger. That goes without saying. But for me, in terms of who actually wins this, it's tough. I actually don't know. I'm a little bit caught here. I'm gonna go with G2. Let's lean away from the EMEA bias, because I feel like whenever I go EMEA bias, never works out. This isn't going to be Fnatic's year. They go out in the same game that they did. This was against Loud last time, of course. Then EG beat them there, final. And you know how the rest goes. But yeah, I don't think Fnatic will make the final this year, when many thought this could potentially be their event. And look, maybe there's still a chance. I've got Heretics making the deep run though, and in their history with G2, they just struggle to close a lot of times, and that's an issue which we're going to have to look at throughout this tournament. These guys have played each other so many times now. I think this would be their 5th match versus one another this year if it were to happen. And I'm going to go with Heretics again, because this is the final that we want to see. Sentinels versus Heretics for all of the marbles, for champs, for Heretics to win a final after they have been to a few of those this year. Those will remember in kickoff, they were there against Carmine Core, they couldn't win. They didn't end up winning in Shanghai, of course, and then here they are back again in another final. And that's why I have them taking it. So let's say Heretics to win champs for 2024. Those are my full pick'ems, right? I will sort of duck down from the screen. I don't want to move myself too much. This is what I've gone for. Let me know if you agree or disagree in the comments section below. Give me your pick'ems. Tell me how they're going. How are you doing right now? What percentage are you? How many points have you got? Again, leave a like if you enjoyed. Subscribe, hit the bell. I'll be back with plenty more of these soon. Much love, and I'll catch you all then. Enjoy the games.